Johnson sleep yet. Let's turn back the hands of time to the midst of the American Revolution. In my selection, Paul Revere's Ride by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Listen for how Paul found out the British were coming and what he did to alert his fellow countrymen. Listen, my children, and you shall hear of the midnight ride of Paul Revere. On the 18th of April in 75, hardly a man is now alive who remembers that famous day near. He said to his friend, if the British march by land or sea from the town tonight, hang a lantern aloft in the belfry arch of the north church tower as a signal light. One if by land and two if by sea, and I on the opposite shore will be ready to ride and spread the alarm through every Middlesex village and farm for the country folk to be up and to arm. Then he said, good night, and with muffled oar silently rowed to the Charleston shore. Meanwhile, his friend through Alien Street wanders and watches with eager ears, till in the silence around him he hears the muster of men at the barrack door, the sound of arms and the tramp of feet, and the measured tread of the grenadiers marching down to their boats on the shore. Then he climbed the tower of the old North church and startled the pigeons from their perch on the somber rafters that round him made masses and moving shapes of shade, where he paused to listen and looked down a moment on the roofs of the town, and the moonlight flowing over all. For suddenly all his thoughts are bent on a shadowy something far away, where the river widens to meet the bay, a line of black that bends and floats on a rising tide, like a bridge of boats. Meanwhile, impatient to mount and ride, booted and spurred with a heavy stride, on the opposite shore walked Paul Revere. Now he patted his horse's side, now gazed at the landscape far and near. But mostly he watched with eager search the belfry tower of the old North church. And lo, as he looks on the belfry sight, a glimmer, and then a gleam of light. He springs to the saddle, the bridle he turns, but lingers and gazes till fall in his sight a second lamp in the belfry burns. A hurry of hooves in a village street, a shape in the moonlight, a bulk and guard, and beneath from the pebbles and passing a spark, struck out by a steed flying fearless and fleet. That was all, and yet through the gloom and the light, the fate of a nation was riding that night. And the spark struck out by that steed in his flight kindled the land into flame with its heat. It was won by the village clock when he galloped into Lexington. He saw the gilded weathercock swim in the moonlight as he passed, as if it already stood gasped at the bloody work it would look upon. It was 2 by the village clock. When he came to the bridge in Concord town, he heard the bleating of the flock, blowing over the meadows brown. You know the rest in the books you have read, how the British regulars fired and fled, how the farmers gave them ball for ball, from behind each fence and farmyard wall, chasing the redcoats down the lane, then crossing the fields to emerge again, under the trees at the turn of the road, and only pausing to fire and load. So through the night rode Paul Revere, and so through the night went his cry of alarm to every Middlesex village and farm, a cry of defiance and not of fear, a voice of the